Why, hello there. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, my name is Mr. Dogboat333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, Kaiserreich as the German Empire. In our last video, we had our elections. We couldn't come to an actual majority, and so as a result, we put in the Schleicher cabinet. Well, that actually explains it right here. After no majority was found in the 36 elections, the Kaiser appointed the Minister of War of Prussia, Kurt von Schleicher, to the chancellorship. Though selected as a moderate compromise candidate to the Reichstag, it's no secret that Schleicher has an agenda of his own, will seek to shape the empire to his centralizing vision. Well, there we go. In his first speech before the Reichstag, Reich Chancellor Schleicher announced that his first and biggest priority of his government will be to contain the economic crisis caused by the Black Monday market crash. To this end, he spoke out against orthodox economists and their agendas by stating that the most crucial step to take is a war against unemployment. Stability in the financial markets, management of the imperial debt, they are all important. But they cannot be more important than the millions of yearning masses thrown out of their jobs during the course of the past few months. Job creation and war on unemployment. Those were the slogans of the hour, popular with the people, who demanded quick solutions to their personal economic issues. Already, the new Reich Chancellor has been in contact with like-minded individuals such as Fritz Tarnow and Fritz Bada, who have been developing an employment-based recovery plan with the aid of the ADGB Trade Union Confederation, or potentially even the famous Walther von Rathenau, who has developed a complex scheme for full reform of the German economy along state control lines during the Weltkrieg. However, that was not the controversial event of the day. With the Reich Chancellor's backing, the first law of a cabinet was proposed in the same session, amending the procedure for votes of no confidence established by the March reforms, which were described vaguely in the Constitution itself and thus clarified in ordinary Reichstag bills. Citing the necessity for cabinet stability under the fractured nature of the current Reichstag, Schleicher pushed for a system of constructive no-confidence vote. A no-confidence vote on the government may only be voted for and pass a replacement candidate for Reich Chancellor proposed by the same people. This proposed replacement candidate is then recommended to the Kaiser, though he still has full power to choose whoever he wants. This has delayed any no-confident vote towards Schleicher by making sure that the SPD and DVLP can not just band together and remove whoever they wish. Though it does not mean that they have given up just yet. The parliamentary parties now just need to build a critical mass in the Reichstag to push through their choice. Well, this is rather unorthodox. Constructive no-confidence principles, ND Arbeitsschlacht. So I believe we have something new over here. Very interesting. Okay. Reich Chancellor Kurt von Schleicher is acceptable to many across the political spectrum, but two power brokers in the Reichstag today, the SPD and the DVLP, are determined to ensure that he's merely a transition towards their rule. The SPD have created the Demokratische Union bloc to defend parliamentary rule, while the DVLP and DKP are plotting the formation of the Coalition Schwarz-Weiße-Rot to place themselves in power. Meanwhile, Schleicher has a vision of his own for Germany and needs to remain to see it through. In this battle for the Reichstag, both of the parliamentary coalitions will attempt to convert one of the few possible factions every turn, in 30 days, while they'll be able to flag certain factions every turn to make them immune to being converted. If a coalition reaches a majority, they will initiate a vote of no confidence and seize power. As Schleicher, he must stay in power as long as possible and have access to a focus tree branch in 280 in doing so. Interesting. So, Democratic Union currently at 165 and 223 seats needed. That's a little rough. The Coalition Schwarz-Weiße-Rot has 60, so they're not nearly as threatening as they could be. I'll protect those guys. We'll try to protect these guys. I'm not too opposed to the SPD. I'm not really opposed to any path, really. We'll just kind of play things by ear and then take it from there. Oh! The government of the Commune of France has accepted our reasonable demand and will renew the Treaty of Metz. This should delay any hostilities in Western Europe for some time. Good. I did not expect that. That is a pleasant surprise. Anyhow. Let's take a look at these two focuses real quick. The first item on our agenda must be the needs of the people. Millions are on the street and are desperate for salvation. The government does not create jobs for them and will seek the alternative extreme solutions. Their employers have failed them, struggling with debt or awaiting better days. Thus, the state must do heavy lifting and create the jobs itself. Then we have constructive no-confidence principles. Before the fractured nature of the incumbent Reichstag sparks a flurry of no-confidence votes, we must establish a principle with which any no-confidence vote must also propose an alternate candidate for the Reichskanzler's seat. This way, we won't experience a situation in which Germany is left headless in a crucial moment. Construction speed. This would reduce our consumer goods factory, so I'd be okay with going with that. Let's draft Plan Tarnov-Bada. Fritz Tarnov and Fritz Bada are trade union leaders who initiated discussion on a social economic reform project not long after Black Monday market crash and publicly endorsed Schleicher's appointment with the hope that he will listen to their concerns. Their project involves vast state intervention and to curtail the banking sector and create public works. This will be quicker, so let's focus on this. Black Mondays left deep scars on global economy, and particularly on the Deutsche Asiatische Bank in Shanghai, which seems to have fallen victim to unscrupulous banking business practices and possibly insider trading. A delegation are now seeking guidance on how they should vote concerning the proposed bailout of DAB. Abstain. Officially known as the General Deputy to the Reichskanzler, the Vice-Chancellorship may be appointed at the request of the Reichskanzler. He is able to fulfill the duties of the Reichskanzler and countersign imperial orders and decrees in the Reichskanzler's stead, and generally holds considerable influence in the collegial federal government. Traditionally, Vice-Chancellor also serves as Secretary of Interior, although this is not an ironclad role. During coalition governments in the Empire, the Vice-Chancellor is generally given the most important coalition partners of the Reichskanzler. For Schleicher, this is an issue, as he is an outsider of the Reichstag and seeks to work beyond the partisan barrier, but it also gives an opportunity. By tactically appointing a delegate from a bothersome ideological wing, he can satiate them for a time and spend the time furthering his agenda. Independent, nonpartisan, yet generally conservative officials, such as Thilo von Wilmowski, would be seen as an act of trust by conservatives in the Reichstag. On the other hand, a member of the right wing of the SPD, such as August Winnig, would ensure that Schleicher's government reinforces its pretenses as a Red General's government and grants some assurances to the SPD. Alternatively, it is possible to simply leave the office of Vice-Chancellorship vacant. This would forego opportunities for building cross-connections, but it would consolidate even more power in the hands of the Reichskanzler. What will be Schleicher's decision? Go with August Winnig, a maverick, but tolerable to the SPD. This will actually freeze the Demokratische Union. Draw our regime closer to the left. Okay, how are we doing? Okay, what do we got? A labor crisis. of businesses. What is this going to do? 20% more stability. This would actually be good. Although not quite good enough to figure out the stagnation. Ah, crap. I only have capital controls. I don't want to... It has been anticipated ever since February market crash, but now it's become clear. The breakdown of the German economy has greatly bolstered the far left of the political spectrum. Socialist propaganda has swept up thousands of workers across the nation, offering an easy answer to the confusion of many workers thrown out of their jobs because of factors they could not control. It is because the illusion of prosperity that the bourgeois, the Junkers, and the Kaiser at the top is maintained and shattered. The final hour for international capitalism is at hand. So make sure to stand in line and hoist the red flag. The German far-left parties are generally small and fractured, and though they are not banned, they are only somewhat tolerated by the political establishment. After years of splintering and reunions, the Communist Workers' Party of Germany, or the KAPD, have garnered most of a socialist share. Though supportive of French-style syndicalism, the KAPD holds some reservations, believing that trade unions in Germany have become hopelessly reformist, and the so-called revolutionary vanguard must be factory councils of workers, hence council communism. The Communist Party of Germany is also prominent, distinguished by the fact that they participate in electoral politics, unlike their cousins. Despite the bad blood between the numerous factions of the far left, they find the strength to cooperate from time to time. And today is one of those cases. The KPD, and their aligned trade unions are planning a mass demonstration in Berlin on International Workers' Day, May 1st. It is expected to be joined by similar events in the Rhineland and Saxony. This is not good. After the quick crash of the oil lands leasehold company managing the Ploietzky oil fields, Codreanu's government proceeds to nationalize the assets of the bankrupt corporation. The end of the case of Romania in breaking the Bucharest Treaty, but there is little we can do to stop them. Neither does the public care much about the issue. If they think they can survive without Mittel Europa, so be it. For the first few decades after the formation of the German Empire, the Reich Chancellor and Minister President of Prussia were the same person, and were considered to be the same position in many practices. This was because the Emperor, as King of Prussia, generally preferred to keep the two positions consolidated and also perpetuated Prussian dominance over the empire. The state of affairs changed after the Weltkrieg for two reasons. First, the March reforms to the Constitution introduced a vote of no confidence in the Reich Chancellor, allowing the Reichstag to control him and possibly remove him, which implicitly meant the Reichstag could now remove a Prussian minister-president. The second is Matthias Asberger, a liberal Southern Catholic, becoming Reich Chancellor in 1921, which infuriated the Prussian House of Representatives. After being petitioned to do something by the Prussian legislators, Wilhelm II ultimately acceded, and appointed Bill Drews as first independent Prussian minister-president. Since then, an uneasy system of dual rule is formed in the empire. Prussia controls 70% of the empire's population and territory, and as it now has its own government. Cooperation between the federal government, or lack thereof, can rescue or bury a Reich Chancellor. However, tensions within the Prussian Grand Coalition grow. Reich Chancellor Schleicher has spoken out against this system. In this critical moment, the empire must have one head, not two, and needs to consolidate its resources. Being a respected officer from Prussia, Schleicher has the potential to become the first Reich Chancellor to also be the Prussian minister-president in over a decade, which will put Prussia's resources, influence, and law enforcement under its direct control, for better or for worse. His decision will be... of course, to be appointed Prime Minister President of Prussia. Under the advice of his advisors, Wilhelm II, as King of Prussia, has accepted Schleicher's petition and has appointed him as the next Minister President of Prussia. This move has been generally received negative reactions from the Prussian legislature, has been derided on the left as a threatening expansion of Schleicher's power. However, most of the political establishment accepted the decision without much fanfare. On his opening speech before the Prussian House of Reps, Schleicher has stated that he intends to maintain the spirit of cooperation fostered by his predecessor, Siegfried von Roedern. His first action will be to establish and expand work relief programs across the kingdom. Back to tradition. I have a bunch of stuff here. I think I'll read that next video. The paralysis of the central government in Riga and the economic crash has given Latvian and Estonian partisans in the UBD an opportunity to rebel against the duchy. Livland has suffered the brunt of the developing rebellion, and land administrators there report that they cannot control the countryside. Its law enforcement agencies have been overrun by ad hoc partisans, organizations, and underground resistance groups. Supported by local farmers and factors from Duchy's army, these so-called Forest Brothers are wreaking havoc and seeking to completely overthrow the German rule in the Baltics. Riga has requested we send a detachment of temporary military police to the Duchy to help them in their fight against Baltic separatists. Should the Duchy collapse, it would be disastrous for not only German pride and standing in Europe, but also our defensive plans against Russia. In national security matters, nothing is too costly. Economic decline. We'll recover it there. Okay, so this is asking about restoring transit more. Geopolitical threat to the nations of Eurasia and some question. Yeah, I'll approve the motion. Why not? Response to the growing militancy of the German workers and citing previous sporadic cases of violence during the electoral campaign, the police force of Berlin issued a ban on open-air political gatherings in the city during May 1st, aiming to prevent the planned May Day demonstrations. This did not deter far-left activists, however, and even emboldened some. These restrictions appear to affirm the official party line of the KPD that capitalism has entered its third period and will respond to workers' movement with more and more draconian forces. Demonstrations took place across the city. Rough tallies of numbers showed that the threats of police violence balanced out the growing socialist membership, meaning that the size of the KPD and KPD gatherings were hardly larger than normal. Still, Berlin police responded with force, sending out flying squads, attacking with truncheons wherever demonstrations were reported. Even lawful conventions such as SPD and liberal trade union assemblies were mistaken for socialist protests and attacked. Street combat broke out in a socialist-dominated vetting district, but it was one-sided and only served to escalate police response. Live rounds were fired upon KP demonstrations, and over 30 people were killed by the end of the day. Around 200 were injured, and 1,200 were arrested by the police. Distribution of Kommunistische Arbeiterzeitung was curtailed in the aftermath to suppress for casualty numbers, but the message spread across the nation nonetheless, fervent plain friction between the government and the labor movement. The events were largely viewed as positively by the right wing of the Reichstag, while the liberals and SPD were more divided. In particular, while the SPD newspaper Vorwärts produced a scathing piece stating that the KPD were seeking to intentionally sacrifice supporters' lives, the Social Democratic delegation of the Reichstag officially protested the actions of Berlin policemen and demanded investigation. The demands fell on deaf ears, however, while tensions continue to rise. We can't let syndicalism happen here. Well, you're not doing a good job at stopping that, but what are you going to do? During the First Weltkrieg, we helped secure Georgia as an ally in the Caucasus. Their governments remained friendly to ours since their independence, and now, with the national order threat, they have requested to join our alliance. Welcome to the Reichspakt. The balance of power has begun to shift, straining the delicate post-Weltkrieg order Germany has long suffered to build. The bolstering of this alliance may have consequences. Well, actually, I'll play this one right now. That'll be good. The Polish railway network, managed by the KKWIP, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, is largely owned by a German subsidiary, the KPU GHSDE. The Königlich Preußische und Großherzoglich Hessische Staatseisenbahn, a Prussian government railway company. This arrangement has secured German oversight over the vital transportation route to the Oststaaten, but also required considerable funding to keep the route operable for major military deployments to the east. With a dramatically reduced need for traffic and cuts to the budget, the railway's fate is now uncertain. With thousands of railway workers unemployed, the Polish government is currently under tremendous pressure to buy the corporation out from the Prussians' hands. This would result in the Poles taking care of the little financial losses, but our military questions how safe it would be entrusted to the Poles with the ownership of the most vital route in Middle Europa. Save it, it's a matter of national security, just in case. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and leave things there, my friends. Thank you as always for watching. If you like, consider leave a like. If not, feel free to dislike, leave any comments, feedback down in the comments section below. I read all the comments I get, and I appreciate any feedback you might have for me. Check out my various links down in the description box below, including my Twitch and my second channel. So yeah, I think that's about it for now, my friends. I thank you all for watching. My name has been Mr. Dogbot333. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.